406.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 411 from 406. My name is Chewy, and I'm joined once again by my brother from another mother, Mr. Pip, and Mr. Jeff Tyler. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing great. This is awesome, man. We're back together again. We have our special guest has returned once again to help us talk through some fun stuff today. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, man?
Can we say it's the important stuff? You guys handle the professional wrestling and all those things when you need to, but when the important stuff comes up, you call the professionals.
That's correct.
That's right. I'm glad. Yeah, thanks for having me back. This is fun. I could talk this especially with you guys all day long. So I love it. Thank you.
You are still our only esteemed guest star on the 406 podcast that we have. So, and the first returning. So I guess you're the a big fan of the program, or the program's a big fan of you.
I heard something about a major award or some sort, or I don't know, is it cash prize, or I'm not sure, what, a trophy. Either way,
it's in the mail.
Mm-hmm. So the last time we got together with Mr. Jeff Tyler was on Leap Day, February 29th, 2024. So as we sit here, just over 2 years after that wonderful appearance, and we're coming at you with a kind of a similar episode tonight. Pip, why don't you kind of tell them what it is we're going to be talking about tonight, which again is similar to the last time Mr. Tyler joined us on the pod.
Yeah, absolutely. So when Jeff joined us last time, we talked about our shared favorite band, which is of course Van Halen. And we spoke about the, I guess you could call it the last studio album that they did with Sammy Hagar, called Balance, in the mid 90s. And we walked through and kind of talked about some of our memories and some of the things that we liked about that, as well as kind of a quick ranking of the songs, which ones were our favorite and in which order. And I kind of pushed everybody here to jump on this call tonight because I really wanted to have this discussion about another Van Halen album that actually just turned 40 years old as of 2 days ago. So today's the 26th of March in the year 2026. And 2 days ago, the album 5150 turned 40 years old, which is just insane how old it makes me feel to understand how old that album is. And in keeping with our tradition, and I hope we can do this at least 2 more times, I thought it would be a great idea to get together and just talk about this album that I think was very impactful for all of us in our Van Halen fandom over the years and what it meant to us, and kind of talk through the songs and give our own top 9. There's only 9 songs on this album, which is something I feel like we definitely need to address, but kind of go through it and give it its birthday flowers, if you will. And it's on the heels of something that Greg, you and I talked about last time, which is tomorrow. It is being re-released, remastered, remixed, all that. Well, I don't know if it's remixed. I think it's remastered. It's got some additional content, although none of it is unheard content. It's just extra stuff that hadn't been released publicly before, including a full-blown live high-definition transfer of arguably the greatest concert video of all time, Live Without a Net, which was the video they released on the 5150 tour, which features a lot of the songs we're going to talk about, and then some of the older David Lee Roth songs as well. So I'm really excited. I've got my copy pre-ordered. I hope that it comes tomorrow, although I'm guessing it probably won't, just by the way shipping and stuff goes. But so it's very topical in the world of music and the world of Van Halen. So that was my suggestion for tonight.
I love it. I love that you guys invited me back. You said do this a few more times. Does that mean we do it when it turns 50, when it turns 60, when it turns 70? I'm in.
Either that, or we do OU812 and we do Foreign Lawful Carnal Knowledge as well, because I feel like we need to. I'm a completist, right? So or a completionist, I think is the right term. So I'm going to want to cover all of them at some point.
So I have talked with my local record store called Wound for Sound in Greenwood, Missouri. I bought a few 45s the other day, as I need a few more to top out my new jukebox. But they are getting that Van Halen album tomorrow, and they're going to have it for sale. I will be there tomorrow afternoon to try to pick up a copy. So last time we did this, I had showed you my 4 album set that I had bought on Record Store Day, and it was
Yeah.
unopened. And you guys gave me crap for not opening it. I just want you to know it's still not opened. So, and you talk about the Alive Without a Net video that was so popular. And I'm going to tell you when we talk about it that there's a different video that was made from one of these songs that was the reason I loved this album first. So I'll mention that when we get to that song. But
That's awesome.
Anyway, yeah. So just for all reference purposes, you guys might see me tipping a drink. It's Buffalo Trace, just for your knowledge. It's my new
Nice.
well liquor, as it has become openly available in Missouri everywhere you go for $25. So
$25? Damn.
for
Like,
this,
I don't think
not for a handle, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. But I mean, still, like that's it, for a while, it was going for about twice that much around here because it was
And hard to
very
get.
hard. Yes,
Yeah,
very hard to find.
not anymore. So,
Oh,
yep.
that's good. Well, and if for that same, just to mirror some of what you just said, I will also be tipping some bourbon on my side. I'm having some Baker's 7 right now, which I very much enjoy. It was a gift from my brother, so I'm gonna be sipping on that as we kind of talk through this album. What about you, Greg?
Jack Daniel's Single Barrel tonight.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So the Browns all the way through. I like it. That's good.
Browns all the way through. Yes. Yeah. So,
Whoa.
Matt,
We're talking to a guy from Cleveland, Matt. You can't say
Yes.
the Browns all the way through. That
I
doesn't
caught
land
that.
the same with all 3 of us.
I caught that when I said that, but I mean, this might be the only time we're all happy to talk about the Browns, I guess. So, we'll just kind of run with that.
Okay.
so
There's no
real
not
quick,
awkward way.
real quick on the Browns. I do not consider myself a Browns fan anymore. I haven't probably for the last 2 or 3 years. I just I finally got fed up and I finally gave up. And so there was many years when I would go out of my way to structure my Sundays around the Cleveland Browns, and I stopped doing that. And so I will watch them if they're on, but I do not go out of my way at all. So the only Brown in my life that I really truly care about is the one that I'm drinking. So
I like that. That's good. Very
Excellent.
eloquently
Good.
put. I like that.
Yes.
So I'll kind of kick things off here, and I want you guys to feel free to jump in at any point because I took notes because I'm a nerd and I knew that there was stuff that I wanted to talk about, and I thought I would kind of start with trying to kind of go back in the Wayback Machine to some degree and talk to you guys about sort of your first exposure to this album. Now I'm relatively confident, and I hope I can be corrected if I'm wrong, that Greg, your fandom is primarily the Sammy Hagar era of the Van Halen catalog. So I don't know how much you knew of or listened to the band prior to 5150 coming out. I think I'm pretty confident in making that guess, but like for Jeff, I don't know as much about when you started to listen to Van Halen, and I'm kind of hoping it was a little bit earlier so we could get the perspective of somebody who knew this band with David Lee Roth and had to adjust to that transition to the Sammy Hagar version of this band, which for the record, I refuse to call it Van Hagar just out of principle. I don't like that. I think it's Van Halen all the way through, or at least that's how I always knew it. I understand why people use that term because it's a good demarcation point for the different eras of the band. But I guess maybe starting with you, Jeff, I don't necessarily want to go back to what was your first Van Halen experience, but where were you when in 1986 when this album came out, and what did you know about this band?
Well, you and I, Matt, turned 50 within a couple days of each other this summer, right? June birthdays, 76.
That is correct. I'm going to edit that out.
I'm the 18th. I'm the 18th, and I think you're just a little bit before that, right? So we were both 9 years old when this album came out. All right. It was we were 9.
Correct.
My exposure to Van Halen prior to that was any radio hit David Lee Roth song, right? It was the expected Van Halen songs that would just show up on what at the time, now we would call it classic rock, at that time was just rock stations. And my first real memory of the band would likely be a combination of this image that I'm holding up on the front of the cover, because at the time we were going to record stores. The three of us in the 1900s were going to the mall, and you went to what was the name of the record store we go to? There, there
Oh,
was
geez. Well, there was Sam Goody. There was, I mean, it depends on, I'm trying
the
to remember even. How
Record
Tower
good
Time
or
or
Records.
bad?
something, right? It,
Yeah.
but
Maybe.
yeah. So, but we went there, and your impression of an artist or an album was the image on the cover of the CD, or that time a cassette tape, or the album, right? So you got kind of initially drawn by the image. I'm like, wow, that's cool. And I do want to say this album I'm holding in my hand for it says $4.50 in the corner. Don't you wish? Right. And um, but and it also says not for sale. It says lent for promotional use, any sale or unauthorized, whatever. Anyway, this is illegally acquired,
Oh,
which probably
nice.
makes it worth way more than 450. But I can promise you that my first and biggest and most inspirational and influential memory was the Blue Angels video of the song Dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I was getting at. You're talking about this video they made of Live Without a Wire. To me, the video on MTV, which was a thing that was developing and happening, and this band and this song, and all of a sudden these blue fighter jets singing or flying to the song Dreams was mind blowing to me. And even after saying all that, it's not my number one song on the album, right? So like that was the thing that I was like, this is my favorite video, my favorite song. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And it kind of reverse engineered me back to oh crap, that's on this really cool album cover. And then it was connecting the dots backwards where I had seen all these things. I knew the band. And then all of a sudden I've got a cassette tape of it. Turns out all 8 of the 9 songs were amazing. Yeah, I
Yeah.
said 8 of 9. I said it.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you're not wrong.
we'll get there.
We're in that.
We'll
Yeah.
get there. But
Yeah.
that was like but I wasn't like in the totally enamored with this band prior to this happening,
Okay.
because I was a preacher's kid. We're in a house where I'm not exposed to all the music that a lot of people were exposed to. It was a lot of oldies. And if I heard something, it was with a friend in a friend's car. It was a brief glimpse, and it was like, oh crap, that's a cool song, right? There's a few songs that we know were on the radio, right? Why Can't This Be Love? Love Walks In. Those were the big ones to me that were radio plays, right?
Hmm.
The combination of the video and the recognition of it being on this album was insane. And I didn't get a lot of that exposure because those weren't what my
Yeah.
parents listened to. And I kind of had to get there myself with no influence. And I did.
So
So,
that's really interesting. You touched on something that I actually kind of had my own little revelation as I was thinking about this, because I was thinking the same thing, that I was 9 years old, I guess, specifically when this album came out. I was in this weird sort of in between phase where I wasn't old enough to listen to this music. I was a little, and the music itself, I guess, was a little bit more, I don't know, I hate to call it mature because looking back, it doesn't feel mature, but like no 9 year olds were, not a lot of 9 year olds were listening to Van Halen, especially the David Lee Roth era, aside from the stuff that would have hit like MTV and the radio, like, Jump, maybe Hot for Teacher, maybe Panama, that kind of stuff. So like I don't feel like I was old enough to really be able to appreciate this when it came out, or even anything that came before it. And so this is one of those bands that I think maybe all three of us, we were all born within a couple months of each other, kind of had to go back in time to find what we loved and to find our roots with this band. But what about you, Greg? What was your experience? I know it was kind of all focused post Sammy, but like, did you catch on during 5150, or did you catch on during OU812 and work your way
No,
backwards?
no, I absolutely caught on during 5150, and it was because of a friend of mine, ironically named Matt, he had an older brother who was probably about 6 years older than we are. And so he was a huge Van Halen fan. And so that was kind of even though I was eight, I'll be 50 in August. I heard some of the stuff, certainly I heard Panama and Jump and those kind of things, but I did hear, Unchained, and I heard, some of these other things that, Running with the Devil and The Cradle Will Rock and those kind of things. So I knew those. My Matt had a VHS copy of Live Without a Net, and I remember we watched that, I mean, over and over to the point where by the time I got the album, and it was probably a cassette, was probably my first copy of it. When you're listening to a live album, there's little kind of differences from the studio album. And I remember when I would listen to the studio album, I'm like, well, that's wrong. Sammy says this here, or Dave says, or Mike says this, or this drum beat is different, or this guitar, so like in my mind, it was the Live Without a Net versions of those songs. But yeah, so now that being said, I did go back and kind of relearn a lot of that Dave stuff. But you're right. I'm much more of a Sam and Beyond fan. Again, that's not to say that I don't like the Dave stuff, because I absolutely do. But to me, this is Sammy's band. It always has been. So
Yeah. And that's interesting. And my experience was, I think, very different from your guys', is that it wasn't until college, and I've talked about this many times on this podcast, that it was primarily you, Greg, that turned me on to this band. I think Balance was the first album I got, but I want to say the second two were the very first Van Halen album, and this one at next. This was, and I don't remember where I got them, if we got them somewhere in Bloomington, like at the Den, or if it was a BMG pickup, because I was heavy into that for a couple minutes back in the day. But I kind of worked my way back from Balance, which was a really bizarre way to do that, because Balance sounds very different from everything else. So if you listen to
different,
Balance
yeah.
and you think that's Van Halen, and then you go back and listen to 5150, you're like, what the hell is this? Like, these guys were happy? That's weird. I never heard that before. But so mine
For
was a
the
little bit.
time out. For those of you who would like to reference the Balance album and you're not familiar with it, please listen to our previously recorded hour and 48-minute podcast of evaluating the Balance album.
Right, which
Yes,
Greg
that
probably has handy as episode number.
89,
There
episode
you
number
go.
89.
There you
Yes.
go. He's an encyclopedia, ladies and gentlemen. But so I've kind of touched on this a little bit, and obviously this album was a huge deal for the band on a number of different levels. The first and obvious being, it was the first one with Sammy Hagar. It was also so it was kind of a make or break moment for this band, right? Because if this album had tanked, like, what would the band even look like these days? Like, I can't even fathom what that would be. Would they have gone right back to Dave? Would they have tried something different? Would they have broken up? Like, it's crazy to even imagine what that would have been like. But
Gary Sharon was only like 4. He wasn't ready.
yeah, he was a teenager. He was still popping zits, I think, at the time that this stuff was coming out. But so this was kind of a huge deal for them, and I'm curious to know, you guys don't, we are not the demographic that would have been really upset by this change. Obviously, there were a lot of people who were. There are a lot of people that will never accept Sammy as a member of this band, because Dave was such an integral and original part of this band. But looking back, do you think the band should have renamed themselves? Like, do you think, if you had grown up a David Lee Roth fan, do you think it would have been fair for them to keep the moniker Van Halen and push forward, or should they have renamed themselves?
I want to jump in real quick, because you're right. We were not the exact demographic to have that opinion, because we didn't have an impression yet, maybe, other than whatever 1984 songs were live on our radios circulating for 2 years. But I talked with Todd Christ, and Greg, I apologize if you don't know Todd, but I know Pip knows him. And
Mm-hmm.
Todd's like 10 years older than we are. And I talked to him today, and I mentioned this, and what he remembers about it was he got to see them at Notre Dame, the ACC, in concert on this tour. And he was, yeah, like, to him, he was David Lee Roth. This happened. I don't think he ever changed his love for the band. So as an example of should it have changed or been renamed, I don't know. Todd's all in. He's been all in since day one. I don't think it wavers either way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love that they kept the name because it was named after two band members in the band that didn't change. It wasn't Van Lee Roth. I mean, it was Van Halen, right?
That's a
So
terrible name, by the way.
it was awful. I made it up on the fly, workshopped it in my head for about a half a second. I went for it and I apologize. But they didn't change those members. They were the crux of the band. That's my opinion. I think they stuck with it for the right reasons and it worked.
Yeah, I would agree. I think if because and again the two up until Eddie's death, I mean they were the only two members of that band from day one, right? They kicked or they swapped out everybody else. I agree. I don't know that I would have. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't. I don't know that I would have if I was in their shoes either, right? Because it's like to your point, Jeff. It's like it's the two brothers that they're the founding members of the band.
Well, also it's a brand, right? From a business perspective, it makes a lot of sense to keep that name because people already know who they are. If you go name yourself,
Chickenfoot.
Well, no, right. I mean, if you go name yourself Chickenfoot, which I kind of think is a fun name, nobody's going to know who the hell that is unless it's featuring the Van Halen brothers, right? So that's a bad business move.
I guess speaking of that, has there ever been? I can't think of one off the top of my head. I'm sure there is one, but has there ever been a band that has changed lead singers? And then like changed the name and they've gone on to be, I'm trying to think like
Crosby, Stills, Nash to Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Okay. Right. But I mean, right.
Well,
is there a comparable one?
Phil Collins Genesis, or I guess that was a complete change. That's not a good example.
Well, no, I think that was right. Isn't it? Didn't he? Well, I don't know.
They didn't change the name. They didn't change names. Right. I guess on the flip side, is there one that changed members and then changed names and then went on to equal or arguably better success after the change, right? So, to your point, it's a brand, which is, that's why Kiss doesn't change. It's why Lynyrd Skynyrd is still touring on Lynyrd Skynyrd with no original members. I mean, Hanson never changed. Nelson never... Bad example.
God, I can't believe Hanson came up in a Van Halen podcast.
What are we doing?
Jesus, this gone off the rails.
But again, my point though is right. It's like to your point, they're brands, and you do lose something when you change that name.
So the only one that I could think of, and this is not a good example because this is going to be thought of as more of a collab or a super group, would be like an Audio Slave. Like Audio Slave is Rage Against the Machine with a new lead singer, but they didn't go out to sing Rage Against the Machine songs, which I think is the difference here. They formed a new group and sang new songs, but that is basically
every example I come up with is like Traveling Wilburys. Okay, bad example, right? And then all these combo bands where people are coming together and making something different, and
Damn Yankees,
I don't think that I can't think of anybody who successfully just completely rebranded with most of the same members and a different key member pulled that off well. But I would say, and this is something that we should absolutely address, is that this may be the most successful, arguably the most successful lead singer change. I mean, Genesis is a good argument, I think. AC/DC is kind of a good argument. But the difference there being Bon Scott died. Like they had to make that change. They didn't have a choice. Like David Lee Roth, whether he quit or left the band or whatever, like he could have stayed in the band and they could have continued. But Van Halen had, they didn't have to pick a new singer. They could have tried to work things out, but they decided to take a different route. And they got their first #1 album of all time after they picked up Sammy Hagar. Now that's a little bit of an asterisk there because 1984 should have been #1 for many, many weeks. It just so happens it came out about the same time as the most successful album in the history of recording artists. So, that would have been a #1 album. But still, Van Halen saw their first #1 album with
I think
5150.
the only examples I'm coming up with are bands that somebody left and then the lead singer just went solo, right? You got
Yeah,
so many people that just become a
Yeah.
solo artist, but not
I,
right.
band.
I think I think probably the closest comparable would probably be Genesis, right? That's probably
Commercially,
because
they
the
became way more successful,
way
kind of
more
like Van
successful.
Halen after they switched to Phil
Yep.
Collins.
And the rest of the band stayed the same. The only thing they swapped
Yeah,
out was the lead singer. So it's probably the closest comparison. I was thinking maybe like the Yardbirds and Cream, but I think there was a little bit. Anyways, we're on a
yeah,
tangent. But my
Well,
point
yes,
is,
yeah, like
I'm
yeah.
glad to go back to your question. I'm glad they didn't change the name because I think they would have lost something. And they still sound, again, with the exception of like they still sound like Van Halen. Like they're clearly different, but it's like they've still got the guts, right? They've got Mike, they've got
yes,
Alex, they've got Ed. They still sound like you can turn on the first album and every one of Sam's albums and even Gary's albums, and they sound like Van Halen records.
They had some things that would happen on the albums that kind of became common, like the talking over the song where you're not seeing, right? Hot for Teacher, Inside. They start the song by just talking. There's not like that's a
yeah,
thing that is unique to some songs. I don't hear that. You don't hear that a lot where they just talk and then it turns into the song. But there were some things I think that the Van Halens like to do that they just pushed on the band, right?
yeah. No, I think those are all really great points, and that kind of leads into where I wanted to go next with a little bit, which is, this is as far as like the songs and some of the cuts on the album. I don't know if you guys knew this, but it's probably not a huge surprise. Van Halen's always had very short run times on all of their albums. And as of 1986, when this album was released, this was the longest runtime of any album that they had ever put out, despite only having 9 songs on it. So I'm curious to know from both of your perspectives, and this was kind of, I like this question. I think it's kind of fun. Um, since there's only 9 songs, if you had to pull one song from OU812 and put it on this album to fill it and make it a 10-song album, which song from OU812 do you feel like would mesh the best with the 9 songs that are on 5150?
Boy,
Um,
that's a toughie.
in Pip, in terms of what it what it sounds like,
Not specific.
like
Well, I mean, just vibe. Just, I guess, think of it in terms of vibe. Like, which one do you think could have been a 5150 leftover that they clearly just put on the next album with some slightly more advanced technology or whatever? Like if you, like, which song do you think off of OU2 would fit nicely into the package of 5150, considering what those songs
okay,
sound
I
like?
got it.
Not the
Yep.
production specifically, but just the vibe. Like, do any of those songs feel like they would
Yeah,
fit there?
I think
yeah,
the first one, Mine All Mine.
Mine, oh mine. I actually
It's
thought
got the
about that too.
energy. It's got like I just think it comes straight in. You could drop that in 5150 and it would feel right. I think there's Cabo Wabo and there's Finish
I
What
was
You
gonna go.
Started, which are a
I was gonna go
little
AFU.
well, and
Oh, that's a good one
maybe
too.
yeah, that's a good. But I think those first 2 songs, which that's the second song on the album, but I think when you get past that, I think some of these are just a little bit
Yeah.
twisted versions of
Mhm.
what they used to do that are a little unique and not bad, just different.
I
Yeah.
tell you what, though, you make a good point, Jeff. I do think Mine All Mine, when you put on OU812, Mine All Mine feels very familiar. If you were coming right off 5150, it feels very familiar, right? And then again, AFU, I would also argue there, but that album, and I love that album, it takes some really weird, not weird, but like different turns from 5150. When you start
Yeah.
talking Cabo, when you start talking, especially like mine or oh God, what the video one that I actually don't like. Hang on, which one is it? Finish
Feel
with
so good.
blood feels so good. Yes, that's where I was going.
That's
Feels so good.
I don't love that song.
That song does not fit on that album, in my opinion.
Well, so that's I
I
think I
love
know
that.
where you're
I
going
love
with.
that song.
Do you really?
Do you?
That's,
Okay.
I do.
that's so funny.
I actually
That's
love that song.
well, his voice is
Yeah,
fantastic on that song, but the rest of it is so saccharine
you're
that
right.
it's just it is a
What you
little bit
said
like,
and
is there
what I
even a
said can
guitar
be
in
the
that
same.
song?
Chewy, they're not exclusive. It doesn't fit on the album, but I can still love it, right? I
Okay.
can agree
Oh,
with you.
that's fine.
Absolutely.
That's fair. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no
And
fair.
I want to correct
criticism
myself.
whatsoever.
The two songs we talked about, AFU and Mine on Mine, not the first two songs. They're two of the first three songs.
Okay.
Forgot about
Okay.
When It's Love is wedged in between there. So
Wedged in
Yes.
there. Yes.
self-reporting. So
yeah.
so both your listeners don't write in and tell me I was wrong.
I love Mine on Mine. I think that's a great choice. And the reason for that is that it is obviously a very synth heavy song, but it's still it's heavy. It's like a driving song. Like it would fit with like Why Can't This Be Love? Or I mean, you could squeeze it in there, no problem. It's not like Feel So Good, which is a little bit more poppy and it's a little bit it kind of bounces around a little bit, whereas Mine on Mine really drives. It really kicks. And I think that that's good. I actually think, and it's not my favorite song on OU812, but I think Sucker in a Three-Piece wouldn't be too bad because it has sort of the same kind of rhythmic beat to it that I feel the energy maybe is what I'm looking for. Because and we'll get to it when we start talking about Get Up and all those songs. Like, man, they're adrenaline songs. Like they really get you
Yeah.
fired up. And I feel like Sucker in a Three-Piece or AFU, like you said, Greg, are good choices for something like that. But I've always been a little bit bothered by the fact that it only had 9 songs. And all it needed was 9 songs. But like, man, if they could just have one more, it might be perfect. Like it just might be great.
Matt, it made it to it's the first #1 Van Halen album. So stop
Well,
pulling it apart.
okay,
I mean,
okay,
it took
okay.
Sammy Hagar to get him there, but it made it to #1.
You're right.
You
You're
want
right.
above that with one more song? I don't know what you're looking for here.
Well, okay, that's fair. Maybe I'm being just a little too critical. Um, but so this album kind of took some cues from 1984. So 1984 was obviously one of Van Halen's greatest albums, was probably their greatest album to date, but also received a lot of criticism
Yeah.
from their fans because it really is the first time they overtly, not the first time, but the first time they overtly introduced, the keyboard and the synthesizer and that sound into the band. And people were very, very critical of that because they had pigeonholed Eddie as a guitar player. He's a guitar player. That's all he should be able to do. And 5150 is a very distinct graduation from 1984 in terms of Eddie's continuation of putting keys on his albums. So obviously, Why Can't This Be Love? Hugely popular song. Love Walks In. It's the only real huge ballad on the album. Like he's continuing down that direction. Do you guys think that helped or hurt their the legacy of the band at that time? And you have to consider when you answer that question where music was going at that time. Like music was changing, and it had already started to change a little bit from guitar to some of the synthesizer stuff. So I'm kind of curious to know from your perspectives, do you think that hurt them, or do you think that just helped to further establish this new direction that they went in?
I think it absolutely helped their legacy. It might have pissed off some of the old school original Van Halen fans. It clearly did, but it's part of what makes such a recognizable Van Halen album. And it certainly does not take away from Eddie's guitar playing at all. But I think it set them apart from a lot of the other rock bands in that era. And we can talk about whether or not we like some of those songs and we like that aesthetic within those songs. But I personally, I absolutely think it set them apart from all the other kind of hard rock bands. Because again, Van Halen is you made a really good point, Pip. We're at an era here where it's before hair metal. I don't really consider Van Halen hair metal, right? And it's
No,
not.
but they're responsible for it.
Well, they are.
They're
They
the
are.
reason that there is hair. Well, not the reason, but like Eddie Van Halen is the reason we have Warren DeMartini and all of those guys that came after, even Nuno and all that kind of stuff. Like
Right, but there's
he was
a
the influence.
massive difference in my opinion. And don't get me wrong, I will defend hair metal too. Like that's probably, if I'm looking
Yes,
at genres of
sure,
music,
sure.
I love that probably more than anything. But there's a massive difference in my opinion between Poison, Warrant, those bands which I love, and Van Halen. Like they're not even on the same
Different
level.
tiers.
So yeah, yeah.
So, just for reference, we were talking about the synthesizer music and what led into 5150. You mentioned Why Can't This Be Love and Love Walks In. If I look at Van Halen's Spotify and their most popular played songs, number 4 is Why Can't This Be Love, which is a far cry from anything they've ever done, right? I agree. Those two songs on this album we're talking about, which Why Can't This Be Love and Love Walks In, to me are tied in position for my favorite song. They're like the same song to me. I had a hard time deciphering the two of them apart even for a long time. But I think what Chewy said about the direction that music was going and the things that were popular, you had to somehow pull your David Lee Roth fans and your George Michael fans and put them in one pot and figure out how to make people listen to your music, right? And that was an awful example. I went with George Michael, but
I was gonna say
look,
I was gonna
I'm a
let you finish.
self-reporter, but there were, all that stuff that was happening. There was so much music being listened to and bought, and there was videos and all these things. You had to
Yeah.
somehow get everyone on one album here, and you didn't. You had to commit to buying the entire album. They put 2 of these songs on there, right? So it was like, okay, well, if I buy this album, I don't just get one song, I get 2 songs, and um, it
Yeah.
worked. Whether we
Yeah.
think it was right or wrong, it worked.
Oh, it did. It made huge waves for them,
Number
obviously.
1, let me remind you.
Number one. That's right. Okay, that's good stuff. So a couple more questions that I do think are kind of interesting. Um, and this I guess these next two are, I don't know if there even are good examples of this, but I just want to know what your responses would be. If David Lee Roth never leaves this band, what does this 1986 Van Halen album sound like? Like I don't even know how you would answer it, to be honest, but like this is this is obviously how do I say this? Like Sammy Hagar was such a different musical direction in terms of his musicality, his ability to write melodies and write songs. So this whole spectrum opened up for Eddie when he was able to write very, very differently, having Sammy in the band. But let's say that Dave doesn't leave and they try to stick this out one more album. And you can hear, you know musically what you're gonna get. What do you think this album even sounds like?
It's way cheesier. I just think the way he would have delivered some of these songs would have been a performance of some sort that we were over with. I think that had
Yeah.
played out. We'd seen David Lee Roth do his performances. I I'm looking at the list of songs here in the back of this album insert. I just don't think he could pull off some of these. I don't think Love Walks In or Why Can't This Be Love even sound, they just can't happen. I don't think those songs are made or written. When you look at the what I love about this era of songs, this album cover, it says all songs written by Edward Van Halen, Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony, and Alex Van Halen. That's it.
I love it.
4
Yeah.
of them. Those guys wrote these songs, right? It wouldn't have been the same if it was him. If you're saying hypothetically they write these songs and he sings them, I don't think we wouldn't be talking about it. Would have never
No.
been
Yeah,
number one.
I certainly don't think they write those songs. One of the things that I love about Sammy is a lyricist, right? I'm a big lyrics guy, right? And Sammy sings about love. Sammy sings about togetherness. Sammy sings about, again, with balance notwithstanding, Sammy sings about happiness. And Dave's songs, if it's the devil and it's this and it's hot for teacher and it's just like nonsense, right? Sammy's songs, to your point, Jeff, Dave doesn't write these songs. And so if we get another album after 1984 with Dave, I think it's probably more of the same, and it's derivative of 1984, and something that's derivative, especially at that point, which was that would have been their sixth album. What did they do? Five albums or four?
With Dave, they did six.
Six. Okay, so it would have been the seventh album, and it would have been derivative of 1984. And to our early discussion, it's rock is changing, and I don't know that Van Halen was necessarily changing with them at that point. I think they took an opportunity with Dave leaving to really kind of reinvent themselves, not only adding some of the synth, but really changing the type of songs that they wrote. They started writing a lot of love songs, right? And I don't know that they certainly don't have the success that they had with Sammy, and it would not have been, they wouldn't have gone on to another era. Whether or not you like the Sam era or not, I think you can't argue that they completely changed that band. I think it was for the better, but I don't know that they ever change enough to survive another couple albums.
I've been kind of chuckling on the screen. You might have seen it as you're talking about Sammy as the lyricist and these love songs and all. I just want to read one blurb from one song just to kind of pile on that. The song's called Good Enough. It starts as this: US Prime grade A stamped guaranteed. Just grease it up, bring it on the heat, throw it down and roll it over once or twice. I mean, the lyricist, this guy,
this guy, you know what? I'm pretty sure I saw that on a Valentine's Day card this last year. So that's beautiful. Or I might have written it. I'm not sure.
You might have written it. You probably did. Hey, honey, this is original.
I heard that Bob Dylan read that and went, "Damn, I wished I could have done that."
Okay, on that note, the song Good Enough, okay, starts the album. It's an epic start. Hello, babe. Like everybody, we know that. Any Van Halen fan knows that. I want to challenge you. What does that song feel like if you take out that hello, baby at the front and it just starts with the music? Do you feel the same about it?
No, of course not.
No.
It's literally two words put in the front of a song said in a certain way that totally changes how we feel about the song.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
And one more thing I'll add to that. That is also Sammy's introduction to Van Halen. That's the first thing you hear him say.
Here I am,
That's
baby.
It. Yeah, yes, he's coming in guns blazing, saying, "This is me. These are my new best friends, and we're coming in here, and we're gonna kick your ass whether you like it or not, and you're gonna love it, and you're gonna ask for more." And that's exactly what happened.
I never thought about it that way, Chewy. That literally is, "Hey, here I am, bitches."
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. But you're also right, Jeff. Like without that intro, I mean, I still very much enjoy that song, but without that, it lacks a little bit of a punch. Like when you hear that, you can't help but be, like it sets you
You
up.
say it, you sing it, you scream it with it, right?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I think that's great. I absolutely love that. And I know that was a hard question, so I appreciate you guys bearing with me. And I did ask you before we get into the actual ranking of the songs, I did ask you guys, which song would you pull off of OU812 to put on this? Which song would you drop, or I'm sorry, which song on this album do you feel like would fit best on 1984? So if
that's easy. I got that one.
I'm not talking to trade, but I'm talking if you had to donate one of the songs off of 5150 and give it to 1984, which one do you think would fit? Now, of course, I mean Dave singing it in the key that he's capable of singing it in, which is not any key that's on this album. But like, which song from a vibe perspective, not from lyrics, because Dave would rewrite the lyrics, but like, just which one fits in 1984?
Ironically enough, I would say 5150, which he's not singing, but I would say 5150 actually.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I actually would have said, I might have said the one that popped into my head, and I don't know if I've thought this through enough yet, was Dreams. And the only reason I say that is because I feel like Dreams and Just Like Paradise could be second cousins because they're very poppy and they're very major key, like super happy smile when you listen to them kind of thing. They're different songs lyrically, obviously, but they seem like they could be second cousins, twice removed kind of thing.
That's not a Van
Or
Halen song though. That's a Dave song.
no, well, that's true, but I mean, like, I could see him have written.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
I
Yeah,
could see
okay.
Dreams having been a precursor to what Just Like Paradise would have been, if that
I
makes
got you.
sense.
Okay. It does. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna say either one of what you said. I agree with those. I hadn't thought about that. I don't. I would love to listen to the album with that thought in mind.
It's
I think
weird.
It is a weird. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
hard questions. Like it's hard to prep for that type of answer. I'm sitting here staring at the lyrics and I'm trying to sing them in my head to figure out where they are. Right, that's where I'm trapped right now. Is the words are in front of me,
Yeah.
but I thought you were gonna ask a question of which song would we drop off this album, and we all could have like done a 1, 2, 3 and said it probably. But
Well, I'm
get there.
guessing that will be our shared number 9. I could
It
be
will-
wrong.
it will
Did
be.
we have it? We had a couple shared ones on Balance, if I do
Oh yeah,
recall correctly, with some of the ill-placed instrumentals I think that they had on there, which is also worth noting. This is the first album, I think, in the Van Halen catalog that didn't have an instrumental on it because we
I
had
don't know if it was first or not, but it's certainly notable and appreciated.
It's first. I'm pretty sure because Van Halen 1 had Eruption, 2 had Spanish Fly, Diver Down had Cathedral, Women and Children First had I can't remember. I don't remember the name of it, but there was something on there. Fair Warning had Sunday Afternoon in the Park, I think was the name of that. It was like a Michael Anthony bass solo, and then 1984 had 1984. This is the first one I believe that didn't have an instrumental on it.
Matt, you're like our special needs AI. You just ask a question, you get most of it right. And you're
Well,
like
you're
pretty
half
Yeah,
confident.
definitely.
You're half right.
Pretty
It has
confident that you're right, and we believe you. And yeah, I'll go with that.
You're half right. It has nothing to do with AI. It's more just special needs.
You're the free version of every AI coming. Right? Like you get
So-
this for free.
When it's Van
we
Halen
did-
related, you might
Yes.
be right.
we on our last podcast we did have one overlap. Belutritarium was number 10 on
yeah.
all 3 of our lists.
That was number 10.
Yeah.
How many tracks were on Balance?
12.
12? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that should have been high. I almost think that should have been higher. Really, I like Belutritarium, but
Oh, so, no. Don't.
now can we go back and
now.
redo Balance? Because it
No,
doesn't.
Well,
look
so
balanced.
so it's funny. So strung out was my number 12, and it was also your number 12, Pip, and it was Jeff's number 11, and then it was Doing Time was my number 11. Doing Time was your number 11, and
Jeff's
Jeff
12.
had a number 12. So yeah, actually, Pip, you and I had 12, 11, and 10 all, and then Jeff just flip flop 12 and 10.
So Jeff
12 and 11.
hates Jeff hates drum solos, is what you're saying.
Yes.
You know what? Hey,
Yes.
no, we can't all be right. You guys can both be wrong together, is what we've learned.
That's fine. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, let's get into this because this has been a lot of good conversation. But the meat of what I wanted to talk about today is what are your favorite songs? What are the ones that you either skip to or even in this case skip past to listen through this album? And I'm curious to know. And I don't know where we start. I mean, I guess I'll start
Nine?
since we'll start at number 9. But I'll go ahead and throw my first one out there, and then we'll go from me to Jeff to Greg, and then we'll just kind of circle through. But it's going to be a huge surprise to everyone, I'm sure. But my number 9 is actually track number 9 on 5150, which is The Inside, which is not even the first time I heard this. It doesn't even feel like a real song. It feels like a jam. It is, and I have to admit, I listened to the Bogus Otis podcast before I before we recorded this, and those guys are super cool. It's the official Sammy Hagar podcast, and they didn't do this exact thing, but they talked all the way through 5150, and they use this terminology. They kind of called it a jam. It does feel like they just kind of hit the record button and started playing and started scatting over it in a way. It's not a good song. I would say it's the most skippable song in the Van Halen catalog, but it's the last song on the album. You can't really skip the last song, so I just turned it off after 5150's done. But I will say, in its defense, the one nice thing I can say about it, there are some vocal parts on here where Sammy really cranks it. I mean, he's got some very, very high vocals, and it sounds fun. The one thing that I will say I like about this song is that you can tell when they're doing this, there was a short period of time in Van Halen lore when they all did get along and they all were best friends. It does feel that way, despite what everybody says about each other now. And this was that pocket of time, and this song sort of represents that. But that being said, it's not a good song. It's not anything I would ever queue up intentionally, and I always stop the CD as soon as it starts. So my number 9 is The Inside. And Jeff, if you pick anything else, I'm just going to stop the recording right now, and and we're done. We're done. There's no further podcasting.
Keep it going. Keep the recording going. I'm 100% in. Every time I hear that intro, it's like this
Done.
horrible version of CSI or Law and Order.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes.
I'm like, nope, done. Well, that's a shorter album than I remember. Like I'm out.
Yeah, it's really only an 8-song album.
It starts rough where you're like, what are we telling? What is it? Story time? What are we doing here? And it just doesn't feel like it ever gets into a song that I ever want to listen to because of how it starts. And I don't know if they felt like they had to have another 4 minutes or if there was a requirement that their label said, you're going to put a 9-song album out. I don't know what it was, but thank God this thing wasn't further up in the album because we had to get to number 1 and it took everything but this song to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Inside is it's not terrible, but it's when you're comparing it to the other songs on this album, it's terrible, right? Again, it's not a song.
Yeah.
I compared to the brilliance that's the rest of this album. That's what I'm saying. It's
okay, name. Okay, but here. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I will challenge you on this, Greg, and I'll challenge any of you. Name one song in the Van Halen catalog that's worse than this song.
Okay,
Gary Sharon. Van Halen 3. Van Halen 3.
Shit. All right, you got me on that one. I should have exempted Gary Sharon. Wasn't
strung
his
out.
fault.
Strung out. Eddie destroying a piano.
Well, maybe one song with vocals on it, like a song, not an instrumental. But I'm just making an obnoxious point, which is, I think it's arguably the one of the worst in the entire oeuvre of everything.
Yeah. So let me, Matt, you might know this. When they start, because I agree with you, I think it sounds kind of like a jam, right? And even though I don't care for it, you're right. Like it clearly does sound like they're having a good time and they love each other and blah blah blah. Do you know? Did they have any sort of a deadline where they needed to get an album out, any sort of a contract thing? Was there any sort of, hey, you can't put a record out with 8 songs on it? Was there any sort of like external forces that might have not made them put this on there, but like kind of push them over do you have any context to that?
Not specifically. I mean, I think that when Sammy joined the band and they started kind of playing together, I think that's when Eddie sort of realized that musically he could do a lot more with Sammy as a lead singer than Dave. And I think they spent maybe 3.5 months recording this record, which seems pretty quick by today's standards. But I think back in the 80s, that wasn't really a super long time. My guess is that they had 8 really solid songs. And somebody said, "Hey, man, we need something else. Like we can't. It's not an EP with 8 or LP. I always get those confused. It's not a full
It's not an
album
album. It's not a record. Yeah.
with 8 songs. So like, let's throw something else on there, which is interesting because if you're a Van Halen fanatic, you know that there's at least one song called "I Want Some Action," which is it's not a great song, which is exactly why it was left off the album. But they could have filled it with a little bit more. So I don't know the story behind why that ended up there. I think it was just their way of saying, this is our band now. Like, this is our dynamic. This is us having fun. We've already given you 8 songs that are badass songs. Here's just kind of a fun little bonus thing that maybe we have to put on here, and we're just going to leave it at that.
All right, that's fair.
I don't know. Right, so I don't know the specifics.
So okay. So we've got 8 songs left. Anybody want to take an over under? Will we have any more? I think putting Inside at the end, I think, was easy.
Yes.
I had a hard time with the rest of them, and I will tell you the
8-way tie.
Yeah.
8-way tie.
So yeah. I will give the caveat that I give on a lot of our top 10 podcasts. This is my list today. It could be different tomorrow. Sure. I guess the only thing that I would say, with the exception of number 9 and number 1, my number 1 is always my number 1. My number 9 is always my number 9.
Yes.
But do we think that we're going to have any other overlaps in the top 8? I would be kind of surprised if we did.
Not 3-way.
No, you don't think? Oh, yeah, probably not 3-way. I think maybe a couple of us will. I mean, by accident, maybe, but no.
I literally am almost embarrassed to even give an 8, 7, 6, and 5 because they're good, and you're gonna be like, really? That's your number 8?
Yeah.
Well, I in my top 3 at any given time in the last 5 years,
they're all different. Yeah,
been number 1. It's just where I'm at in life, and
that's fair.
Makes me feel good today.
That's totally fair. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that makes me the one that has to lead off for number 8, which I hate because this is going to be a pretty hot take and a very controversial pick, and I'm going to get roasted for this, and I'm preparing for this.
He's going to do it. I know what you're going to do. Go.
Do you? Do you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I think so.
My number 8 is arguably the most popular song on the album. It's Why Can't This Be Love? It's not my favorite song on the album, and maybe it's because it's the most popular song on the album. I don't dislike the song, but I can pick 7 songs on this album that I like better than this song. There's something about it. I don't know if it's the keyboards or the synthesizers. I don't think that's it, because I don't have any issues with that. I love synthesizers. I love that thick 80s nostalgia that comes with all that. But I don't know if it's there are some sloppy lyrics on this song that I feel like are a little obnoxious. I can't recall it right now, but I don't think this song really, to me, it almost doesn't fit on the album in a weird way. It doesn't, like, it just feels thematically different from songs like Get Up and Best of Both Worlds and 5150 and things like that. Like, it kind of stands out in a weird way. But it's most likely probably because this is the one that got the most radio play off of this album. But for me, Why Can't This Be Love is just not, I don't know, maybe it's the title. Like, it seems a little desperate. Like, why can't this be love? Like, it seems a little pathetic in some senses. But it's one that I do skip almost every time that I listen to the album. I don't hate it. It's something that I will certainly fist pump to if Sammy's playing it live, but it's my number 8. I'm sorry. I feel like I need to apologize for that because I'm gonna get roasted for this.
Chewy, you got it. I mean, I'm ready. You just go. You go.
Ahead. Go ahead. Well, so it's a little low for me, but it's not high on my list either. So I can't. This is an objective list, and again, if your list is like mine, it changes. Like Jeff said, kind of where I'm in life and day to day and those kind of things. I I like it. I don't skip it, but I can see why it's not on the top of your list because it's not on the top of mine either. So I can't. Hey, it's your list. I respect it.
So the lyric that drives me nuts, and and I'm not a lyric writer, so I have no reason to be critical. Only time will tell if we stand the test of time. Like he uses time in the same verse twice. Kind of drives me nuts. I don't know why that always that always kind of made me crazy. But I will say, and you will appreciate this, Greg, the thing that almost saves that for me is listening to Eddie sing it in on the Balance tour and all those bootlegs
No.
when he lets Eddie take that verse. He's like, "Oh, they're time for two, is standing test of time." Like he has the worst sort of like Eddie does really good with backup vocals. He's an underrated backup vocal singer, like the Brown sound and the harmonies that Van Halen are known for. Everybody attributes to Michael Anthony, but Eddie should actually get a lot of that credit because it's Eddie and Mike harmonizing a lot of that stuff. But when he sings the lead on that stuff, it was so bad, it was so obnoxious that it just sort of made that song pop out in the worst way for me. So that's how I feel. But Jeff, go ahead, like skewer me up and just
I'm
like
not skewering you up.
you should like do it
We're
because I
close.
feel
We're
guilty.
so close on that, but it's different. So my number 8, again, probably very unpopular because it was one of their 45 offerings, on a vinyl, and it's Love Walks In. When I take
Oh,
Love
okay.
Walks
All right.
In, I take
I
Love
could see
Walks
that.
In and Why Can't This Be Love? And they're so close. And it really,
Yeah.
what gets me is the first 15 seconds of each song, which one I like better.
Hmm.
I like probably the end of Love Walks In better than Why Can't This Be Love? But when I turn them on, I feel better about something else. So I'm sneak peeking my number 7 here, but it's Love Walks In, and that's a compliment to the album because it's such a freaking good song, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like
it
what you're
is.
saying, it's a
Yeah,
good song, and I'm
it
never going to
is.
turn it off if it comes on. But we have to
Right.
rank them.
Yes. Yeah.
And this is the exact opposite of how I felt talking about Balance. Balance did not have 8 solid songs that were going to be a definite play when we played them. This
That's correct.
album does.
Yes.
So tear me up.
Uh,
I mean,
no,
I'm in the same boat.
no, again, I can't. Again, let's see. You went Love Walks In. No, yeah. So it's not that low for me. You'll see Love Walks In way higher for me, and I've got a very specific reason why, and I think Matt probably knows why that song holds a specific place in my
Oh, I
heart.
do. I do.
Um,
What's her
but
name?
her name is Jennifer.
It's not Amanda.
No, it's
Oh, I didn't know that. Good
No,
news
it's
is,
not.
I don't think Amanda listens to this. So, with the
No.
guts that
No,
you said
neither
that.
does my wife for the record.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see. I might be the one that gets skewered the most out of my number 8 pick. It's good enough, and it's okay, but it's just kind of good enough, right? And again, it's not a bad song. I don't. Again, I will caveat this by saying "Inside" is the only song on this album that I skip, and whenever I have conversations about what's the greatest album of all time, beginning to end, that you can sit and listen to beginning to end, hit play and not skip anything, I always mention 5150. Now, I forget, I conveniently leave out that I stop it when you get to Inside. But
Yeah.
but again,
I don't skip it.
I genuinely believe that, like with the exception of greatest hits albums, this is the greatest 1 through 8 that I can think of. And so I will caveat all of my picks after Inside by saying I don't skip it, but Good Enough is just one that it's just kind of there for me.
Okay.
It's background music. So that's my
I
number 8.
I think that's I think that's kind of fair, but also like that's the Hello Baby, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that in itself gives it 3 points on this scale, I think. So it is higher on mine, but it is not substantially higher that I would be like, what are you talking about? Like
I so I
I understand what you're saying though.
so I have to mention this, and and I always thought that it was a positive for this song, and I think over time it has been a negative, which is weird because I love the movie that it's in, but its inclusion in Spaceballs is is
Yeah.
is weird for me, right? It's like I remember watching that movie growing up and I'm like, "Oh my God, that's like my favorite album, blah 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 blah." But for whatever reason, I don't know. It's like I don't know if it's that they chose this song and I'm like, "Oh, there's so many better Van Halen songs." I don't know. But over time, the inclusion in that movie kind of bums me out, even though
Really? Oh,
I
that's
yeah, and
interesting.
I can't even explain it. It's weird. With the exception of they do say the hello baby in
Yeah.
that
Hey,
movie, right?
Right.
Which is
Chewy. It's U.S.
yeah,
Prime grade A stamp guaranteed.
I know, I know,
What are we talking
I know.
about here? Why are you
Well,
surprised?
I don't know. I mean, they copied it from my Valentine's Day card, so I don't know what to tell you, you know. So,
She's good enough to, huh? I mean,
Yeah, so okay, let's just call this out. Like I think Sammy can be a good lyricist when he puts his mind to it and when he decides he wants to be. I think Balance has a lot of really provocative, interesting lyrical choices by Sammy, whether it's Seven Seal or Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do or whatever. He can also be one of the worst lyricists. And one, I don't know, maybe not worst, but like he just speaks from his heart. So his heart might say, today I want to be serious, or today I want to drink margaritas. I don't know what it's going to be today.
you know what?
Most of the time it's margaritas for
I
him.
think he's a
And that's what
great
this song was.
lyricist if we don't pay too close attention to his lyrics. That's where I think we overlap.
that's fair.
Like if
That's
we're
fair.
not really
That's
paying attention,
that's
it's
the
amazing.
greatest quote I've ever heard. He's a great lyricist if you don't pay too much attention to his lyrics. That is
Yeah.
that is spot on. That is great. No, I mean,
I
I
love
do think
listening to his voice and the way he says some of
yes.
the words, right?
Oh,
Maybe it's not how he delivers it or what it
yes.
Yeah.
is, but
He's a melody
like,
singer and he's a
yeah.
You know what?
soulful singer and he's really good at that.
Yeah.
But the
I,
lyrics can vary depending on what mood he's in.
I guess that's a really good point, Jeff. Like all jokes aside, the difference, I guess, in my opinion, really between Sam and Dave is kind of just the way they deliver their 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 voice, right? Dave to me is kind of like a vaudeville, oh, but that, like he's that guy. He's a great frontman, probably a better frontman than Sammy, right? But
I would
to
agree.
me, right? I mean, he's a better, yeah, I think he's a better
Yes.
frontman. But to me, like if you're watching Sam and you're listening to Sam, you really feel that he loves the grade A prime, you know what I mean? Like you feel like he's behind his lyrics. He believes his lyrics, right?
I'm just
When you're
shocked at how
talking
many times we're quoting grade
well,
A
right.
prime
Right.
stamp
But you know what I
guaranteed,
mean?
right?
Like,
And
but
it's
again,
never
even
been done.
right. No, but again, from the start, from Hello Baby to the When It's Loves and Love Walks In and all these kind of things, you really feel like Sammy believes what it is he's saying, right?
I
Whereas
understand
Dave
what
is
you're saying. Yeah.
performing it. Yeah. So
Yes. I will give you that is that Sammy is better at selling in
yeah,
terms of he puts his everything into it, whereas Dave does feel like more of a sideshow.
yeah,
Um, I don't know. I don't know what it means to believe that it's grade A meat, like all that stuff. But I know I understand. I'm not making
yeah,
fun of you. I do understand
yeah,
what you're saying there.
yeah.
Um,
All right. What do you
and
got
that
for your number 7, Pip?
that leads me to number
Yeah.
seven, which is in this case, I put Get Up as my number seven, which I really like Get Up. I don't often skip that song, but that is maybe, in my opinion, the most forgettable song on the album. Um, I don't and there's nothing really that stands out about this. It's like it's the third song on the album. So you've already heard Good Enough and you've already heard Why Can't This Be Love. So like it comes out with this super fury of music and all this interesting stuff and then Get Up just kind of feels a little meh. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say other than I do like it and it has it has fantastic energy. Like if you're in that mood, like it's a good follow up to something like Good Enough, because like Good Enough is just like it really fires you up. But coming after Why Can't This Be Love? I don't know. I think it doesn't really show off the depth that I think the band is capable of. And um, so that's it. I mean, nothing much more to say. I don't dislike it. It's just, there are definitely six songs I like better than Get Up.
I'm challenged with that answer. I really
You
am.
are. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think this is the first actual drum intro that we get a feel for the drums in this whole album, right? It's got this. You've had a couple of different intros. You've got "Get Up," "Hello, Baby," and then you got the synthesizer, and then you got this one is guitar where it gets you right to that drum drop where it's, and then it's. I think the energy level on this one is so high.
It
I
is.
can't put it that. I just can't put it this low on the. Again,
Yeah.
knowing that I've got 8 songs that can swap at any time, but um the
I will
energy
say
I
though,
get from from the song from Get Up is way better than you're calling it out.
yeah.
Personally, for me, I love that song.
No, that's I do love the song. It's hard to love it more than some of the other ones, but
I
I will
know.
say
I
that
get it. Yep.
it's not an energy thing. And when I watched Live Without a Net, Get Up might be one of my favorite songs on that recording, because it
Yeah.
just like Mike is hitting the super high notes, and Sam, I mean
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
really driving that. But on an
So,
album chocked full of songs that I love, I just can't in
yep.
good conscience put it above anything else yet.
It's just neat to see the first three songs on the album start so different,
Yes.
right? They're
Yeah.
so different. And so, but for me, I'm gonna tell you, you think you knew what my number 7 was because of how I was talking, and then Chewy started talking, and I heard what he was. It's like all of us legal
Did you change
paralegals
it?
sitting next to each other. I'm gonna put Good Enough at number 7 because I probably hear Good Enough when I click the album, and I'm like, oh, yep, I'm in the right spot. I go to the next song. That's my confirmation that I hit the right album, and I probably skip that one more than I would skip um, Why Can't This Be Love, which you thought was going to be my number 7. I love that song. I love the intro, and it's like, hello, here we are. We're on the album. But
Hmm.
then as soon as the song starts, I think I probably skip that more than I give or admit to or give credit to.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
that's super interesting to me, because I feel like for me personally, the first song on the album is critical. It's like it's got to grab you, it's got to grip you. And I feel like we touched on this a little bit when we were talking about balance, right? Because I love Seven Seal. I thought that was an amazing song. And I argued that maybe that was the best first song in the Van Halen catalog. And you guys were like, Pound Cake is amazing. And I don't even know if this one came up. I don't really remember that specifically, but this song really sets the tone for that album, I think. And that's what I love about it. But I mean, I get it. I mean, it's, you got to stack it up against a lot of really great songs, so it's tough.
Yeah. So I'm with you, Pip. I'm Get Up at number 7.
Hmm.
And I understand where you're coming from, Jeff. I think, and I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, this is the one song that I can think of probably more than any other where the Live Without a Net version is, I won't say better, but it's different enough. And that's the one that I knew that when I go and I listen to the studio album, it's just, it's, it's, it's not enough. Ironic,
It's not good enough.
yeah, it's right, yeah. And so again, it's not bad, but it's just not the version that I know. And so, yeah, I'm going to go with number 7.
So I do want to back up real quick and
Yeah.
address the text I sent today that I thought
It
might
was
be the greatest text I've ever
fucking
sent.
perfect, by the way. It
So,
was amazing.
just for the listener out there, Jerry, whatever your name might be, we were contemplating whether we did or did not want to do this tonight based on basketball, and we don't want to timestamp when this was recorded, but things happening in our lives and on TV, and do we have time? And in a after a couple of drinks, I texted, "Let's effing do it. I'll be, quote, inside my house by 9:30. If we do not do it now, it will be sometime, have to be some, quote, summer night." Anyway, you get the point. We quoted a lot of songs off this album in a text, and we all enjoyed the heck out of it.
Yes, that was
Quite a
amazing.
motivator. As soon as I typed that, I sent it. I was at a different place than my home, and I said, "Guys, I gotta go. I got a thing to do."
That's
was
awesome. I
You
love
guys,
that.
you guys ramped me up tonight, and I appreciate it. I was really excited
Yes.
to do this, and then more excited after you started texting. So
That's good. I was so jazzed to do this for so long because, I mean, arguably favorite band, favorite album, like all I want to do is talk about it. And I honestly don't know two other people on this planet that I could talk to about this kind of stuff other than you guys. So this is the perfect audience. And even if Larry, by the way, not Jerry, it's going to be Larry who listens to this podcast. It's Greg's father-in-law is our
That's my father-in-law.
sole
hi, Larry.
he's the greatest guy and he's the sole listener of our 406
Yeah.
podcast. That's what makes this whole thing worth it. So
Good.
that's
Well,
amazing.
it was funny that some of the things that were around it, where Chewy said 5150 deserves it. I mean, I was so, the people around me were like, "Who are you? I don't even know you." I'm like, "I gotta know."
Oh yeah.
This is
There's
great.
a whole nother side. Yeah. So okay, I guess that makes it's my number six.
Number 6.
Right? Is
Yeah.
that where we are? Okay, so my
Yep.
number 6, and I don't know how controversial this is. I feel like the middle of the pack's not super controversial, but my number 6 is Best of Both Worlds. I really like the song. I think it's great. It's a fun sing-along song. It's kind of average. I mean, it's average in comparison to some of the other songs on this album for me. I really do enjoy it. Um, it kind of it just it's one of those songs where I don't necessarily like I have made it a point to try to see Sammy Hagar on every tour that he's come around on since, his solo career, rejoining Van Halen and back to a solo career and all that stuff. Like I've seen him every time he's been in Indianapolis for the past 20 years at least. And I don't really care if I hear this song. I feel like this is maybe one of the more popular songs from this album. I like it. I think it's great. I don't have any issues with it, but it's also in the same vein as Why Can't This Be Love, which is like, yeah, I've heard it enough times and it's okay. But I think vocally, he's really, really strong on this. Like, it's really incredible. And then again, I'm going to keep bouncing back to Live Without a Net. You watch this video on Live Without a Net, it's fantastic. Like, you can tell how much fun they're having. They do the little walk, the little dance thing that they do, and it's amazing. So, this is the only one on my list I will say that could be interchangeable with another song, which is my number 5. I think tomorrow my number 5 and my number 6 could swap. I feel pretty good about locking in the rest of these, but this one is a little bit tough. But yeah, today, Best of Both Worlds is my number 6.
All right, Jeff, what do you got? Are you going to match him at number 6?
No, I am at Why Can't This Be Love? That's
Okay.
I know it's
All
been
right.
said already, but it's the popularity. We're probably all in the same boat where you love that sneaker song that nobody listens to, that you're like, yeah, I love this other song, like this song
Yeah.
you don't know is even better than the ones on the radio. And yeah, Why Can't This Be Love? I do like how it lands on the song, and it's got the that beat in the beginning you're excited about that.
Yes,
And then as soon
yeah.
as it drops, you're like, oh yeah, I know the song.
Yeah.
Right. I get over it a little bit faster. I like the intro. I like the first
Yeah.
8 seconds. And then it's like, and then, okay, next song. I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I'm there.
I'm right there with you. That's my number 6 as well.
Oh, come on. I was
yeah,
hoping to get
again,
more solidarity.
Yeah, sorry. Again, not a bad song by any stretch, but yeah, you're right. It's like one of those. It's kind of like good enough for me, right? Where it's like, you're I'm sorry, it's like Get Up for me. You know, it's like after the intro, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm done. And again, good song. Don't skip it very often, but yeah, it's my number 6 as well.
Okay. All right.
All right, so here's where we start to kind of get to where the rubber meets the road, right? Like again, these are going to be interchangeable. We're going to see a lot of overlaps. There's only 8 songs really. but
Yeah.
but here, what do you got for number 5, Pip?
So it's interesting because I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm really grateful that you guys haven't put my number one and your
Yeah.
number 5 through 9.
8.
Not
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. And I feel pretty confident that my number one will be, it may not be your number one, but it'll be, hopefully top 3 for everybody. But until we get there, my number 5 is good enough. It is the one that I feel like I could, depending on my mood and the day and everything that's going on in the live version that I'm listening to, could swap with Best of Both Worlds at any given time. Good enough, I think, is the tone setting song on the album. It's the one where you hit play on 5150 and you hear that and boom, your mind just explodes and wants to get on that ride and see where everything is going. And I think the lyrics are a little bit whatever. Like you can certainly not accuse Sammy of trying to be Bob Dylan or Jeff Buckley or anything like that on this kind of a song. But
I'm sorry, Chewy. That's a 9-second pour.
That's the third one.
Chewy, for the record, for those of you who can't see, which is
sorry, Pep,
pretty much nobody because we don't post the video, is refilling his drink. We'll just put it that way. Joe Boo needs a refill.
Podcasting. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that's great. But yeah, so good enough. I think it's a great song. I really enjoy it. I don't skip it very often because it does kick off the album in a way that I really, really love. But also, I think there are better songs on the album, and I think the guitar work is really solid in terms of some of the interludes in the middle, the bridge that sort of goes between the do 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 da, da, na, 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 na. Like that whole part is really super fun, and Sammy's voice is fantastic. Like it's really exceptional on this song. Doesn't overcome some of the goofy lyrics, but also, it's just fun. I like it. I enjoy. It's the one that kind of just gets me. I'm trying to explain it. It's the song that says, okay, this is the tone of the album, so you need to just, this is what you need to adjust to if you're going to listen to the rest of this album. And
I think if you listen to the guitar in this song, it almost is like this bridge between 1984. We talked about it, but it's this bridge of voice, like, hey, Sammy's here, and then there's the way the guitar hits. If you listen to it with that in mind, it's kind of like, hey, let's get into what we're doing now. Like here we are. It's very 1984-ish, and then it gets into this jam, and it's a great song. You've eliminated it. We've all eliminated it at this point,
right?
So we're not going to criticize you, right? I mean, we're shocked it took you so long.
Well, sure. It's interesting because it's a heavy sounding song, and the reason for that, and I feel like you'll appreciate this, Jeff, because you are a guitar player. He puts a bass string on his guitar, and that's what makes this song sound so heavy. He actually has a single bass string on his A.
There's this like A string knock guitar. On it. You can just hear it.
And you can hear like
you can hear it.
Yeah, it's this really chunky, heavy sound that, like, it just like Eddie's known for just doing these very weird but very subtle changes to the things that he's doing sonically that will make a song stand out. And
would it sound like USA grade A stamp guaranteed type song?
I mean, maybe that's
where we're at. Those are literally the first lyrics on this album.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say that. We've been joking about those. That's where this album starts.
Greg's like, I can't believe I said he was a lyrics guy, because we just keep coming back to the grade A stuff.
You love his voice, you love his lyrics, and we can tear that apart over and over. No, but we all love him too, so we're
It was a different vibe in the 80s. There was a lot of cocaine
It
floating
was,
around.
yeah.
So we
Oh,
were
yeah.
talking about eating steaks and
We missed the good days, guys.
we we really did. That's for sure.
Yeah. So you had good enough. I've got best of
Yes.
both worlds as
Okay.
uh
Fair.
my number 5. We're at 5, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Again, I love the song. I love the lyrics. I think the way it starts is great. It just kind of flows in. I hate that Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus made a song with the same title. That I don't know if you knew that. She did.
I don't know why
it
you
was a
know that.
hit. And I was like, wait a minute. Van Halen did this song. You can't do that. So it kind of ruins it for me a little bit, but it's a jam. It's good lyrics. I think it just good energy, kind of what you expect in the middle of this album, right?
Does that mean the next podcast has to be our top 12 of the Hannah Montana the songs
Okay.
or
I'm
something?
going to self-report. I took my daughter, a customer, and his daughter on the company dime to see Hannah Montana / Miley Cyrus in concert at the Sprint Center.
Okay.
So I have on company money gone to Hannah Montana.
That's okay.
And that absolves you of any wrong.
You didn't pay for it.
Guilty of something.
Okay.
Yeah. Your soul is guilty. That's what's guilty right now.
All right. So I know I'm going to offend Matthew with this pick. I know I am. I know I am. And it's it's 5150. It's not a bad song. It's not a bad song, obviously. It's a great song.
Mhm.
I got 4 songs that are better.
Okay.
This is another one of those that is different enough on the Live Without a Net album, which again, as a reminder, that's where I really got to know this album. And again, I don't have really many qualifiers. It's again, we're talking about number 5 out of 9. It's a great song, but that's where I have very specific reasons for the top 4, so that's why it's number 5.
That's fair.
And I know that pains you, Matt. I know it does, but yeah.
Well, it's really sad to hear you get some of these so wrong, Chewy. It's sorry.
That's fine.
It's just weird.
That's fine.
So weird.
I mean, it's not grade A prime for me, but
it's not. No,
really not.
No, but what's interesting and what keeps coming up, and I think it's an important, footnote or consideration to have through this entire conversation is that Live Without a Net really does inform a lot of what this album means, because these songs all sound great on this CD or this record or this tape or whatever, however you're listening to it. But you hear this stuff on that Live Without a Net performance, and it's totally different. And some of that will inform your decision on how you feel about these songs, even though these are the studio recordings of these. And that might be one of the things that pushes that song higher up on my list, because I don't think there's a song I enjoy more on that entire set in that video than that song. So, not to give too much away yet, but I think it's an interesting point that Live Without a Net really does counterbalance, and I don't know if counterbalance is the right word, but complements what songs are on this album and can inform our opinions significantly.
Yeah, kind of one thing about that I think is interesting, and this is probably a good spot to talk about it. So we've mentioned several times Live Without a Net. The only other kind of what I'll call mainstream live Van Halen album is Live Right Here, Right Now. Yeah. And so there are on that was a double album, right? There's a double
Correct.
album, and there are 3 5150 songs on it. It's Beth to Both Worlds, it is Dreams, and Love Walks In. And I wanted to ask you guys, are those the correct 3 songs to put on that album? And that's not to say are they your favorite songs, and again, we haven't gotten to Dreams for anybody yet. So
Same
that's
again.
not, it was Dreams, Best of Both Worlds, and
Love Walks In.
And Love Walks In. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Why can't this be Love?
Well, Love Walks In was on the live.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right here, right now.
Dreams, Love Walks In, and Why Can't This Be Love?
Okay.
Those three. Is that the right three songs? If you're gonna just pick three, is that the right three songs? I think in my mind, Dreams is one of them. Has to be. Love Walks In.
I agree that yes, that has to be. The other two, the fact that they're on there and the radio play and all the things that happen might be why they rank so low on my list.
Well, and that's kind of where I was going, Jeff, right? It's like, and Matt, you called it out earlier. I don't remember which one it was. You were like, well, maybe it's because I heard it so much that it's so low on my list. It might have been Love Walks In.
Why Can't This Be Love?
Or I'm sorry. What? Yeah. Why can't this? I don't know. I just find that interesting. And I guess my point is, I know you love 5150. It's number 5 on my list. It's not on that album, right? And 5150 is not a song. And it sounds like, Jeff, it's going to be high on your list too, but it's not a song that's really well known in the Van Halen,
Think about what we're saying.
Yeah.
The songs that we are ranking low and don't like are the ones that made them all the money and made them famous.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Make them money and make them famous are the ones we're now talking about, right?
That's what makes us fans.
It's the win-win.
Right?
It's a total win-win. Like, it's amazing to hear. That's probably what you want.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I was just kind of, as we're going through this, I was kind of looking at that album and I was like, oh, that's kind of really interesting that I don't know. Anyways. So.
Yep. Oh, good.
Let's see where we're at. Okay. So we're at Pip's number 4. Sorry.
Chewy just gave one wrong answer. So now it's Pip's term.
Okay. Right. So my number 4 is actually the ballad of the album. It is Love Walks In. That's where I put this on my on my top 9 list. I do love this song. I think it's great. And it hasn't really gotten a lot of mileage in terms of Van Halen songs post this album. And I guess what I mean by that is that after 5150, you won't hear this song again until the Live Right Here, Right Now album. And then after that, I don't think you hear it again until Sammy recently started playing that again, like within the last 3 or 4 years. Like that song just kind of fell off the map. And I assume that that's because, When It's Love was a very popular ballad from Van Halen. So like when Sammy was doing his Van Halen ballads, When It's Love would probably be ranked higher than
that's
that.
The one. Yeah. That's the one.
I think it is. I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs. So it doesn't bother me that that's lower, but I really do like this song. I really like, the lyrics, or maybe it's not the lyrics, but it's the premise of the whole alien. It's like an alien love song or something very bizarre like that. But his vocals are really, really good. I really like Eddie's guitar playing on this, which is interesting because it's known for being a synthesizer song. But also the guitar solo, I think, is what's really, really good. I think it's so melodic and it's so beautifully woven into the rest of the music in this track specifically. I really, really, really do like it, and I'm a sucker for a song that ends with a little. I don't know what you call it, like a flourish or something like that. Like at the end of. There's a Warrant song. I think it's Heaven, when it's like, yay, like it's got that little end to it. Love Walks In has that same kind of end to it, and I like this vocal thing at the end, and I really dig that. I think that's really fun. So that's it. Not much more to say other than Love Walks In at number 4.
All right, Jeff, what do you got?
So I'm Summer Nights. I love that song. 4's not a bad ranking, right? I mean, we're at the point
it's not.
where we're defending why we put it number 4 and it could be higher. But I love the intro. I love the fact that like this came out when we were 9, 10 years old, right? And I'm speaking for Pip and I, Chewy. I know you might have been already had a 401k by then, as old as you are, but I don't
I'm
know.
younger than you. What are you talking
I
about?
know that was a cheap shot, didn't work. But
I'm the oldest one on this call.
by a week. So by the time we were driving and experiencing summers and the words behind Summer Nights and what it meant and like the intent of that landed with me earlier than most of these other songs. Like I could remember playing that song and having a cassette tape and going to that specific song. And I can't remember if it was on the end of the first side or the first on the second side. Anyway, I remember getting to it easy, and it was a good song, and it was representative of my summer nights in high school. And we didn't go to high school in the same area, but we all had the same high school experience, likely, right? This was
Yeah.
a great song. I just loved it. And there's a spot in the middle where it just feels right to me, and it's more of a feeling driven thing. But love the song, but it had to be number 4.
Yeah.
All right. You clearly will see that song later in my list. My number 4 is Best of Both Worlds. And again, I think it's again at this point to your point, Jeff, we're picking amongst our favorite children at this point, right? It's like there's not a wrong answer. Number 4 is still pretty high on this list. I got really nothing bad to say about it at all. It's a fun song. I enjoy it. I never skip it. I think I probably like this is another one. Again, I've said it time and time again. It's probably another one that I like the live version a little bit better. This is the one there where they do the Van Halen walk, right? And it's like it's a fun song. This is probably the one. If there's one song that I have to point to on the Live Without a Net album or that video where
Yeah.
they're having a good time performing with their brothers, it's this song. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe they're just performing, but like this is the one they're like, oh yeah, they're up there having a fucking blast, and like the crowd just kind of melts away and it's just them doing their thing, fucking around. This is probably the song that I see that the most. So
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that specifically. Like that's one of the most I don't know what you call it, but like it's not celebrated, but like they seem like they are having the most fun on stage when they're playing that song. And that it's sort of if you're like us who have watched that video multiple times, that's an iconic scene from that
yeah,
video, which is when they're
Eddie
dancing
with
and they're
those
doing
pink
the thing.
pants and the just
Oh my
yeah,
God,
just,
those
yeah.
parachute pants are.
Hey, Pip, stand up, show us what they look like.
No, I'm not going to do it. Shut up, Jeff.
All right.
All right.
So okay, it's getting hard at this point. Number 3.
Well, it's getting hard, but
Pip.
it's also getting a little easier
all-
because now I don't
Yeah.
feel like I have to justify my
That's true.
choices
Yeah,
as
yeah.
much
That's
anymore.
that's fair. That's fair.
My number 3 is Dreams. I love Dreams. I think it's vocally one of the most impressive things I've ever heard from a rock singer ever, period. End of story. I think I don't think anybody could duplicate what he does, what Sammy does on this track. And I don't think he gets nearly enough credit for it. I do think this is one of the well-written songs that he has put his name on. I think Mick Jones from Foreigner, who helped produce this album, is a big part of why this song sounds like it does. But he just absolutely destroys the vocals on this song. It's so good. It's incredible. Um, I think, I mean, I guess I could put it higher, but at the end of the day, it's not as they don't play it as much these days because it is so hard to replicate and it is so impressive when you listen to the song. And I'm not a vocalist, but I feel like if I was, I would listen to the song and appreciate how incredibly difficult it is to do what Sammy did with this. So it is one of the most impressive songs on the album, and it's well written. It's got a good message. Everything about it is great. Um, it's Dreams. That's my number 3.
Okay. I'm on board. Same answer. different reasons, right? To me, I
Okay.
mentioned early on the Blue Angels video. If you haven't seen it, Larry, look it up, right? Like it's a great video. It is a feel good, but they took the synthesizer and their heavy guitar intros and they combined it. This is a fast synthesizer intro.
Yeah.
It's if you listen to it with that in mind, like it happens fast. They get to the point real quick. It's not
Yeah.
like why can't this be love or love walks in where they're just like this slow. It takes a minute to get there. It starts fast and it keeps going. But every time I listen to it, I can visualize the video. I can visualize myself in the plane. Like it's just to me, it's a feeling thing. A lot of people who don't know the record might have ranked this pretty high too, just because they associate. But like in depth, this was my first favorite song on the album. It's not my favorite song now, but it was the first song that was my favorite.
Yeah.
So number 3, Dreams.
It's great.
Yeah, I think Dreams is one of those songs where um it 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 feels right. It feels maybe even more than any other album or any other song on this album. Um I I love this song. We did something that I didn't think we would do again. It's my number 3 as well. So it's the
Yes.
second song.
Yes.
It's the second song that we all three tied on. I agree with you, Jeff. The video to this song is fucking amazing. The Blue Angels, I mean, it does. It kind of sets it apart, right? And it's another one of the ones that is on the live album. I think it's probably if you're not a Van Halen fan, it's probably the one song off 5150 that you know, right? Like if you don't know this album, if you're just a overall Van Halen fan, this is probably the one song off this album that everybody knows. And so Sammy was 38 years old when he recorded this song. And I the last time I heard him sing it, it was on a live album that he recorded when he was probably 65 or something like that. And he and he
Yeah.
and he you know he went down an octave. He still sounds really good.
Yeah.
Um but what he does with his voice in this song when he originally recorded it and when he originally sang it on that Live Without a Net was second to none. I mean, it was
For sure.
absolutely amazing. It was staggering again, to your point, Matt. I'm not a lyricist obviously either, or a singer, but to hear him do what he did with that song is really really special to me. Even like I'm not a singer, and it's really really special. I love this song.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pure insanity what he was able to do with this from a vocal perspective. And I think that this song has definitely stood the test of time. It's one of those like the even without the Blue Angels video, I think it's incredible. I mean, it's really amazing. So I think that's awesome. I'm so psyched that all three of us had the same one. Like that's a good sort of thing to kind of keep going for these song ranking Van Halen albums. I love that.
Yeah, it was Inside and Dreams, and with that we're
Yeah.
done with the we will not have another overlap,
Yeah,
What's
can't
which is
interesting,
happen.
fine.
yeah, right. What's interesting though is that if we go back to Live Without a Net, which we have done many times, that song was not on there. They
I
did
know, right?
not
It's
play
crazy. Yeah.
Dreams on that album, which I don't know why.
I probably had
And
enough commercial success already.
I
Like
I don't know. I
like
don't know. I
makes
don't
I don't know.
remember
I
the
don't know,
the
which maybe
timelines of
that's
everything.
counterintuitive, but
It's interesting that they would play good enough or Get Up or I forget all the songs they did play on that, but like there's some songs you could probably take out even from this album and put
Yeah.
Dreams in there, and they didn't do it. So I mean, arguably, you're right. It is one of the more popular songs, but great
All
choice.
right. So thank you. So here we go. Your number 2.
So the nitty gritty, we're getting down
Yeah.
to it, and none of this is going to surprise you at this point. I don't think. My number two is Summer Nights. I think Summer Nights is an absolutely fantastic song. It's, I mean, guitar wise, I think he does some really, really interesting stuff. I've actually very recently been trying to learn some of the parts here, and they're they're interestingly difficult. It doesn't sound difficult to listen to, but when you try to transpose it into what your fingers are supposed to be doing, it's pretty challenging, which is Eddie in a nutshell, right? But it's such a fun, feel good song, and I just can't imagine. There've been like maybe one time, I think it was last year. Was it last year? The first time Sammy actually played that live when he came around in Indianapolis when he was touring with Joe Satriani and Michael Anthony and Kenny Aronoff on the drums. And I think he played Summer Nights live. And it was just the greatest thing. And I looked around and neither one of you two were there. And it was really disappointing to me. But it
It
was,
was
it
it was
was,
disappointing to us too.
it was such a great feeling to be in a summer concert at a summer show with that song playing. It's just so fun. I don't know that it's good. I don't know that using fishing metaphors for catching women is like the most deep lyrical thing that you could ever devise. But I just love the way that the song comes together. I love the way that Eddie uses that Steinberger to um, change the keys of the guitar as he's playing through it. And I think this is just that hidden gem of the album. Like you can't love 5150 and not love this song. Like it's kind of like the heartbeat of the album in a weird sort of way. I don't know. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Yeah, the
that's where it is
chorus,
for me.
Summer Nights in my radio,
Yeah, yeah,
done, over. That's it,
right.
right?
Yeah,
Totally agree.
there's
I
something
mean
about
that.
talking about a radio that just like hooks us Gen Xers in
Yep.
a way that it'll never be duplicated.
No, that's all we need, baby. Don't you know?
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
Like it
So that's
literally
it.
is right. It's
I can't.
radio, summer night in a radio. We didn't have anything else back then. We didn't. You had your car, a summer night, a girl, and a radio. That was it, right?
Yeah.
Um, totally agree. Mine was a couple that was bumped a couple bumps down for me, but totally agree, and I agree with your reasons. But for me, get up. The way it
Okay.
starts, I know that was much lower on some of you, but the way it starts and the way it goes from a guitar to drums and it keeps picking up and then it goes right back into a combination of those and then the lyrics never stop. That energy is held at that level all the way through the song, I think. And I freaking love it. It makes me feel good. I work out to it, I walk to it, I run to it. That's a song that makes me feel something, right? And it always has. And it was not an obvious song. I don't think it got a lot of radio play. I don't think people know it, but we do. We got a chance to experience it, right? A little
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
for us, but it all the way into the song, it never really drops. The drop in that is getting from guitar to drums and back to guitar, and it keeps dropping, and it's a combination of everything, and it just keeps getting a drop, and then they start singing, and it's even as good as the beginning, and I love it. Just love it.
It is. It was again. It was way lower on our list, but doesn't make it bad by any stretch of the imagination. I get it. So my number two, obviously you guys have both mentioned it. Is it's Love Walks In, and Love Walks In, and I know Matt knows this song, and we alluded to it earlier, and you said who's the girl, and her name is Jennifer, and she was kind of my first love, right? And this was in the eighth grade, and I remember it still to this day like it was yesterday. We used to walk uptown from our high school football games. This is when we were in seventh and eighth grade. We would walk, and I was probably call it 15 blocks it was the cool thing to do. You'd walk uptown, and we went to Carlo's Pizza Bazaar, which was this pizza place in town, and they had a jukebox, and they had the Miss Pac-Man machine, and they had a Galaga machine, and this was the girl that I wanted to date, right? And I put on that song on the jukebox, and she walked in, and it was just it's one of those, you said, Jeff, you just mentioned it, you feel the song, right? And music to me has always been about a feeling. It takes you right back. And no matter how many times I hear that song, no matter how long I've been married to the love of my life, I that's still her song, right? And it's like it just takes me back to that very moment, and I will never forget it. And yeah, the lyrics are kind of silly. They're about aliens and this, that, and the other thing, but that's kind of what love is, right? It's this alien kind of crazy, weird thing that you can't explain. And even though we've kind of ragged on Sammy a little bit, but this to me is some of his really good lyrical work, right? Even though it's silly and it's about an alien and this, but like you get what he's saying, right? You understand what he's saying about love and how important it is. And yeah, this I love this song. Number two.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. I love that song so much. And it doesn't get enough. It has been so long since he's played that regularly in the set list. And I was really disappointed by that because I felt like it was a good enough song to include in, solo tour here and there, whatever. I didn't expect anybody from Van Halen to pick that up after he was out, but it is a great song for
That
sure.
was your number two and my number eight. And I'm like, I totally agree. I'm like, but that's how tight the things were.
It's exactly,
it is.
That's exactly right.
Totally
That's a
agree
great
with you.
point.
But
It's
yeah.
There's a lot of points here, but they are very tight. Like
Yeah.
none of us like. I don't think any of us hate any of these songs.
No,
I mean,
of course
clearly
not.
we all agree
Except
that
one.
there's a last place song on this album, but
Everything
the
else
rest
was
of them,
that close of a margin that when
Yeah.
you say what you said, other than it be associated with a person, I was like, yep, everything about
Yeah.
it. Totally agree.
If the three of us were at a concert, Sammy Hagar concert right now, and he played all these songs, we would fist pump through all of them. Like,
Yeah.
Every
And
one of
wouldn't
them.
it-
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be weird if all three of us were like, yeah, Jennifer, like, oh my God.
oh my God, can you believe? Oh, Jennifer.
All right. So I know our final answers now. I've done the math.
Did you do the math? Okay. All right.
Yep.
Pip.
Pip, I had
it's
no
not
idea.
too hard.
I did not know we'd land here.
Oh, that's right. It's yours too, isn't it? Oh shit, I didn't realize that.
Yes.
Tell us about 5150.
Have you?
My number one song is the eponymous 5150.
Title
I
track.
think this is not just my favorite song on this album. This is my favorite Van Halen song, period. End of story. I love it to the day I die. I have loved it for a long time. And I don't know that I can articulate why. I'm not sure if it makes sense, but I will say that Live Without a Net has a big part in this because this song on that video is just filled with so much happiness and so much energy. I think it's great. I'm not sure even what the song's about. I don't know why they call it 5150. I mean, I know what 5150 is, but I don't know necessarily.
Did you know it is Eddie Van Halen's studio name?
Yes, absolutely.
So that and the escaped mental patient, like all
the police code for the criminally insane and all that stuff. Like, I don't know how all that stuff ties together. It's all super goofy, but I just think melodically and guitar wise, I don't think that they do anything better on this album than this song. And I reach out to, so in the last couple of years, I will say, Sammy has started to put this back in his set list. And it certainly doesn't sound like it did in 1986, when Eddie was playing it, because he's playing with Joe Satriani and all that stuff. But the feeling that I get inside my bones when I hear Sammy, like last year, I was at Deer Creek in Noblesville, Indiana, and he played this song, and I think I texted you both. I mean, I'm pretty sure I did. I was filled with so much happiness in a way that I can't even articulate. There's no sensible explanation for any of this. I just really, really love this song. It does such a good job of The guitar riffs at the beginning, and then it builds. It just builds in such a um, in such a very smart way, and you're just fist pumping by the end, and then Sammy hits some notes at the very end of the song that it's just like, oh my God, how is he even doing that? It's great. I love 5150. I think it's the greatest song that Van Halen ever did. And I'm so glad that he seems to be recognizing it today. And which is crazy when you think about it. If I could just ramble on for another second, Sammy Hagar is 78 years old as we are recording this podcast, and he's singing arguably the hardest song in the Van Halen catalog live every night. Like Dreams is probably way harder, but 5150 is not easy. And of course, yeah, he does tune down. He's down probably about a full step at this point, which is totally understandable. But it's not an easy song to sing. And he pulls it off really well. And the crowd just loves him for it. And that's why this song will forever be at the absolute top of my Van Halen list. Whatever list we're making, 5150
Yep.
is the top of my list.
I am 5150 all the way. I love that it's a title track. I love that's what they called this album. When it starts with the guitar highlight for 13, 14 seconds, and then the drum jumps in, you get both Van Halen's jamming in the front end of this, and it
Yeah.
just keeps going like a minute and a half into it before they start even actually talking. It makes me feel good every time I listen to it. There's never a chance I've ever skipped that song. It kind of when they start the lyrics, it kind of slows for a second, but then when they get the chorus, like it just gets you back up. I love it every time. I've never not loved hearing it. So yeah, number one for me.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you guys have said. Obviously, it was on my list earlier, but it's an amazing, and again, kind of goes back to what we've been saying. This is an amazing album, right? And there are no bad songs on it. And again, if I were to make this list tomorrow, it wouldn't be my number one, but it might be my number two, might be number, you know what I mean? Like I put it at five, you guys both put it at one. It's an outstanding song for sure. So I get it. So I guess that leaves us with my number one, which is Summer Nights. And again, Pip, you mentioned it. It was your number two. Jeff, it was where? It was your number four. This is one of those ones that, um, again, is all about a feeling for me. It's all about I think Jeff, you hit it on the head, right? Where you're talking about like summer nights on my radio, right? It's like this speaks to our generation. So I bought I bought my first Jeep about a year ago last week. I have just had it for a year, and the first song that I played when I was driving my Jeep home was Summer Nights.
Yeah.
I went out of my way to make sure that that was the first song that I listened to, and it was also the song the first time I took the top and the doors off. It was also the first song that I played that time. Um, I remember very vividly. I had a night. We were still in Bloomington. It would have been our senior year. And it was one of these nights where I wanted to just kind of be alone and just kind of be alone with my thoughts. And I was driving around Bloomington, not like town Bloomington, but like outside of Bloomington. And at that time, I was driving that red Jeep, windows down, and I was
Jeep
playing
Cherokee. I remember that.
the Jeep Cherokee, and I was playing Summer Nights as loud as I could absolutely play it, like basically on repeat. And it was just kind of one of those very not religious, but like one of those experiences where it was like one of those nights where it was like in the mid 70s, early low 80s, the wind going.
Chewy.
Yeah.
It's called religious.
Okay, it
Yeah.
was one of
Say
those
not
religious.
religious.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
religious.
It is. It
But
is.
you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's one of those nights that I can remember. And again, I wasn't going anywhere. I had no agenda. It was nothing. But it was that song.
You can smell it, you can feel the
Yes.
air, you can
Yes.
hear
Absolutely.
the song, all the things.
And especially like at the end of that song when those bass drums kicks in, boom, 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 and it just gives me goosebumps every single time I talk about it, every single time I hear it. Um, Matt, you mentioned 5150 is your all-time greatest Van Halen song. This is my all-time, like they're second to none. This is my absolute favorite Van Halen song. I love it.
Yeah. As long as I've known you, I've known that this was your
Yeah.
favorite song.
Yeah.
And I can't say that it didn't influence me as well as it has worked its way up to number 2 on my list. It is great. It is fantastic. It is just it embodies what I remember about Van Halen in those days, and I say that with a heavy asterisk because I wasn't a fan of Van Halen in those
Yeah.
days. It
Yeah.
took me about another decade to catch on, but I also feel like I understood in the mid 90s when I was listening to this stuff, like it made sense to me. Like it wasn't so far removed from the mid 80s that I couldn't understand it. Today's 2026. Obviously, it's hard to think back to what it was like back then, but I totally get that. I think it's an absolute fantastic song. It probably wouldn't ever overtake 5150 for me, but it was a solid number 2.
Yeah.
So I
You
love
know,
that choice.
I think one thing that's kind of really interesting to me, and we've kind of touched on it. None of our top. Let me take a look. One, two, and one, two. Okay, so we all picked Dreams at number 3, but like our number ones, all three of us, they were not like big commercial. They weren't,
No.
Summer Nights and 5150 for sure are not like commercial successes, right? And I think that's part of what I love about it too. And I almost wonder like if 5150 or Summer Nights would have hit. I don't I hate to say it, but I don't know that I would have loved it as much. And I think
Well,
Jeff, you mentioned it earlier,
Probably
right? It's
not.
like
The
do you hear
words
it
to
too
this
much?
song meant something to us back then. We were
Yeah.
by the time we were 16, we knew these songs like, oh, Summer Nights in my radio. I'm driving it. I had a Jeep
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I had a 1981 greatest hits album, which was like Jesse's Girl and Betty Davis Eyes and a bunch of Celebration. And then I had this 5150 album, which was
Yeah.
to me a 1986 greatest hits album.
Yeah.
And those were my two cassette tapes that I rolled in and out no matter what. So much of my time in my Jeep with the top off was this music.
Yeah.
Summer Nights meant way more than the rest of them in that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
awesome.
we made it. We made it to number 1.
We did.
Look
We
at
made
that.
it to number 1. Van Halen made it to number 1 with
was
this
the
album for the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not the last. I hope that it's not the last number 1 Van Halen album that we get to do a deep dive discussion over. Maybe the next one won't be over March Madness, so we'll be able to, create a little bit more time around it. But this has been so much fun and so cathartic for me in a way because there's nothing in this world that I love more than talking with my friends about the things that I love and Van Halen and you guys. I mean, I don't know how you get better than that. That's pretty amazing.
There's a high percentage chance that I get arrested because of this verbiage on this album, but if this is where I go down, guys, I think it was worth it.
That's
Okay?
pretty
I'm just
cool.
gonna tell you right now, this was worth it. I'm glad it was with you guys. Come visit me, whatever it might be.
That's legitimately like maybe that. I mean, it's stamped on the album sleeve, right? So like that could be worth something.
Hopefully more than 450. That's what it says.
I mean,
on it.
at least 725 is what I'm
Right.
thinking.
So I will tell you that there's a lot of people in my life that really just don't know this level of intelligence that we have. I mean, we're smarter than most people know, is what I'm saying.
I think we are. I think
I'll
that's
use
fair.
intelligence in quotes, but
No,
yeah, go on.
we're
Go
doing
on.
air quotes, right?
Yeah,
But
right.
I told a few people today, I said, oh, yeah, I got to get home. We're going to do this podcast about Van Halen 5150. What's that? Well,
Wow, that
I'm
hurts.
you know, like
That
I'm
hurts.
surprised
Yeah.
we're friends, right? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
you've made it past the gate. I didn't think you would, but to me, this is more fun to talk about than a lot of things. And you're sitting, I know this is bad podcasting, but you two can see where I'm at. I've got fly fishing things. I've got sports stuff. I've got deer things. I've got all these things. I've got guitars hanging on the side of my TV. That's the music side's just so much of what my life has revolved around. And you guys were a big part of that. And you experienced probably when the floodgates opened, you guys were there, right? You guys probably both took a side and pulled it apart for me and let the water come in. And whether it's listening or playing music or appreciating it or whatever, talking about it, I attribute you both to where I'm at today for that. So appreciate it and love talking about it.
Well,
This has been fun.
I think we need to call out the fact that Van Halen has been a uniting thing for all of us. Like Jeff, you and I met because of Van Halen, right? We met because of Sammy. I was still vividly, I don't remember a lot of things in my life, but I vividly remember sitting outside of sports and you showing me a Sammy Hagar guitar pick and me being like, oh my God, did we just become best friends? And I'm like, yup. And that whole thing, like that all happened.
Our similarities were so many things more important than that, ultimately, that we didn't even see, like where you're from, right? I grew up in Napanee. You were from Wakarusa, and all the things that people we knew and all these things, but
we didn't even get
wait a minute. You know who Sammy Hagar is?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I do too. Hey, I have this little plastic piece of whatever that he threw out, and I found it, and you're like, we're best friends. And literally now I know Chewy and all the people that are going to be at your birthday party and like everything in that world.
It's the power of that music, I feel like, that brought us all together.
We lived together after that.
Yes. It actually created a roommate situation. And so it's affected us all very differently.
Should we write
ways.
Sammy for what he might owe us for back charges on the apartment?
On 406 North Lane?
406 North Lane really took a beating. Probably because of him. I don't know.
He's going to be like, wait a minute. How were there footprints on the ceiling? I don't understand.
Why is there a lawyer calling me from the 1900s? Okay.
I don't know anything about this shit, is what he's going to say. Your summer nights are your business.
Okay, so there's a guy named Buford and Chewy and Pip and
what the hell's a Buford?
Who's Floyd? What the heck's going on here? I don't know who any of these people are.
Sorry, Larry, but this is 406. That's what you want.
This is what 406 is all about. All right. Well, hey, this has been fun. That's Mr. Pip. That's Jeff Tyler. I'm Chewy, and this has been the 411 from 406. Aloha, bitches.
Adios.
Thanks, guys. There we go.
Goodbye, babe.